I was telling my son about the things that we'd done once the nuns let us go for the year. Home like rockets we'd fly, shed that white shirt and bow tie, and let's see that report card, my dear. Whether you'd pass or you'd fail, you were still clear of that jail. 10 weeks of glorious fun lay ahead. We'd play hockey or baseball, or do nothing at all, but we'd seldom lay around in the bed. No Game Boy or Xbox or such video games. No internet, no cable TV. His eyes opened wide and he said rather snide, "How boring, how could that be?" Says I, "Sure, growing up in the crossing, there was lots of good fun to be had. Whether it was rain or 'twas fair, you had not a care, except perhaps a ball hockey loss made you mad. Fishing off Rocky Point, a trip up to Indian Head Pond, or to the old bridge at the Gut for a look. We'd dig worms at White's Farm, and then fish in those drawns, or perhaps past Black Duck to Trout Brook. We'd catch sea trout, mud trout, and mackerel and cod with a push button or open-faced reel on the rod. There was smelts and tom cod, of course, lots of salmon peel and sculp and skates, flatfish, and the occasional eel. Now the term mad cow had a different meaning, I allow, as we'd shoot pellets at Parsons's herd. Simply running across his field could some danger there yield, or you might simply step into a turd. An old hockey stick, some elastics and nails, and a clothespin then used for a trigger, made a weapon so cool, in the hands of some fool, would welt your backside if you knew how to rig her. Then there was loo, man o' war, frozen tag, and much more, but hopscotch was mainly for girls, and you wouldn't be caught fraternizing with that lot till you grew up and liked long hair and curls. He said, "Sounds like fun, Dad, and most not so bad." Says I, "Of course, there's things best unknown and untold, but the best time of all, sure was hardly nothing at all. Just the time that we spent throwing stones." Yep, throwing stones, chucking rocks from the shore or the dock, sometimes there for hours upon end. You could play it alone, away, or near home, and it cost not a penny to spend. You'd skip flat ones and then count 7, 8, 9, 10, and then another one, and so on and on. If there was nothing else to do, sure, it didn't matter to you, just so long as the pond remained calm. Then you'd throw one straight up. It'd cut the water with a... We'd call that cutthroat when done right. The highest, you know, would land with least show, and we'd throw it with all of our might. Then there were targets like bottles, tin cans, or just trees, yellow hammers, or robins, black-capped chickadees. You'd throw some while standing and some from down on your knees. From a specified distance, you'd begin a contest. Throw a dozen or more and then stop for a rest. When you got tired of throwing because your arm was too sore, you'd bat some with sticks and then throw some more. Now in the crossing, as the name indicates, there was always a train, and we'd line up in rows and we'd take careful aim. That Newfie bullet? Ha! It wasn't that fast. Back, the rocks we would blast. Of course, there was some thrown in anger, let's not forget. There's one long-lived spat we all know of, I bet. We'd meet the Protestants on the bog between two schools and stand there and throw at each other like fools. That one was solved back in '68. Amalgamation helped put an end to that hate. Now the Catholics and Protestants here get along, but elsewhere in that world, the hatred lived on. Now, there was one guy from down at the end of our street. At throwing, there's no one around he'd not beat. And to say he was talented, I would be remiss. And to describe him, I'd have to say something like this. He had arms about this long and fingers like that, and he'd pick up a rock, whether 'twas round or 'twas flat, and he'd heave it with ease and with grace and with style, and by jump, I swear he could pitch it a mile. And accurate? He could take knots out of trees, or take flowers out from underneath bumblebees. With one stone could he take down the insulator from a power line pole, much to the dismay of linesmen like my brother-in-law. He'd say, "All right now, boys, who could hit that tree?" And of a dozen, I'd get a couple or three, but him, he'd always get at least 9 out of 10, and on another attempt, he could do it again. You know, you would throw at a seagull, but it would duck it somehow. Its scavenger quickness just wouldn't allow, but him, he had a way, he knew what to do. Sure, once with a ricochet, I saw him get 2. And these skills were transferred, oh yes, to such things as marble, softball, and darts, and other important things. Sure, he once threw a softball up with great skill. It got caught in an updraft and was carried over the hill, sailed over Indian Head, just missed the stack on the mill, and flattened the truck when it landed in Stephenville. Yes, he became quite a legend for his talents around, and if he'd have tried, sure, he'd have become world renowned. But alas, of his abilities little is known, except of course what you've learned here in this little poem. So I'll always remember those warm summer days and how we amused ourselves in so many ways, but I'll always remember and think of so dears throwing rocks with my friends in the summer each year. Is that true? He said, Dad. Why, that all sounds so rad. Can you show me that cutthroat again? With a wink and a smile, we threw for a while, and we talked more about times back when.
Wow.